San Jose drew the line this past weekend when it comes to gangs, but will that plan work? We're going to ask a couple of experts. My guests here on Comunidad del Valle are Robert Rios, a community activist, and also David Madrid is with MAXA, the Mexican American Community Services Agency. Welcome to the show. We're going to do 3 segments with these gentlemen, so let's get to know them a little bit. Robert, let's start with you. Give us your credentials. Tell us why you, when you go talk to kids or even older people, why they kind of relate to you. Tell us about your background.
Well, my background comes from being in gangs. I spent most of my life in prison and a member of a prison gang, the Nostra Familia prison gang. I was around and through the whole movement of the Norteño Sureño war jumping off, being created. So when I'm able to speak with young people or older people that are in the gangs, we can relate because that's what I do. That's where I come from.
The thought out there is that, I mean, once you're in a gang like that you can't get out. How are you out?
I'm a living testimony that you can get out. Don't let nobody tell you can't get out, because I'm a living testimony. I've been out 12 years now, and 8 of those years I've been doing community work with gangs.
Usually when you get out, maybe you intend to hide, and not because, I don't know if you have a bullseye on your back or whatnot, but you're out there, you're visible, you're talking, you're on the streets.
Well, because of my religious beliefs, I would say, and I know it's because of God, but it's also because of where I stood with the gang when I left. It's, a lot of it has to do where how you left the gang. But I would encourage nobody to be fearful of leaving their gang because somebody's saying that you're no good, you're going to get killed or whatever, because it has happened, no doubt. But I think the gangs are nowadays in a spot where they don't want to put themselves out there where they're just killing people, killing everybody that leaves, because where would that at?
Right. And David, tell us about your background. You're with MAXA, the Mexican American Community Services Agency, and you're also out there talking to the youth.
Yeah, well, I got about 10, 11 years doing youth intervention work here in San Jose with various organizations. I've been, lucky and fortunate to be with MAXA for the past 2 years now. And yeah, just being out there doing intervention programs. So my thing is the prevention, getting these youngsters before they get in too deep. And what's been working really well for me over the past 10, 11 years or so, is that I'm actually from the same community that I work in. And as far as, giving hope to a lot of parents out there, I'm born and raised East San Jose, South Cipuedes, the Mayfair district, and my testimony is a little bit different. I'm not an ex-gang member. I never was a gang member, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't influenced by the gangs, having family members that were in gangs. And that's what I bring to the table when I work with the low level youth out there, is that there's hope. You can grow up in this environment and not be tainted by it.
So what's happening right now? I mean, things are spiraling out of control in San Jose. Robert, what does the pulse of this community tell you that's actually happening?
I think because of a lot of, recently they've opened the gates of the prisons. There's a lot of programs that are letting prisoners out. There are reentry programs. There's the reform on the third strike. A lot of gang members qualify for that. And they're going to come out. And some have already. There's rumor. I've been on the streets. I don't see it, but it's big rumors. Sounds APD, everybody, I don't know if they do it before the city could collect money or whatever, but there's big rumor that the Mano Salvatrucha is taking over and guiding the southern gang members into what they want them to do.
Because the Sureño element is kind of been on the attack mode for the last few months.
Exactly.
How worrisome is that?
Very worrisome. You see the young people, they're killing at a young age. They're being killed at a young age. The crime is being bolder. They're doing things in broad daylight. A couple of weekends ago when they killed the kid, Emmanuel, when he was killed, I don't know who did it, so I shouldn't say that. But when he was killed, it was in broad daylight.
Right.
and he was attacked by a mob of gang members.
And in fact, in our next segment, San Jose Police calls that kind of mob a pack of animals because they attack in numbers. We'll get your reaction to that description. If you have maybe a child who you think might need some help and some talking to, there's a website for Maxa, and then David will kind of tell us where to go from there as far as getting some help or maybe how you can help get some of these kids on a straight and narrow. We'll be back when we continue on Comunidad del Valle. Stay with us. We're back here on Comunidad del Valle talking about the gang problem in San Jose. So what's Maxa doing, David, to keep these kids out, to kind of give them an alternative?
Well, Maxa, we're doing a few things. Well, like I mentioned before, we have a youth intervention program, both here in San Jose and in South County, out in Gilroy. Out in Gilroy as well, we have it's called Friday Night Jams, where we open up our gym out there for, the young kids out there to keep them off the streets on Friday nights. And we're also doing that here in East San Jose as well with more of a higher risk crowd. And so we're just providing a safe place for some of these young people from the neighborhood to get off the streets.
Is this the age where they're starting to get lured and kind of tantalized by the gang element?
I would, man, over the last few years,
What's the youngest, do you think?
The youngest, I think, as young as, I would say maybe 7 to 10 years old.
That's scary.
That's where it's going at, because they're growing up, seeing they're seeing their parents. That's one of the issues, and of course older siblings. And even if they don't have gang members in their family, depending on what community they live in, apartment complex, they can be influenced. And we're seeing it at a young age. These kids are on YouTube, they're on Facebook, right, and it's just glorified more than ever.
Maybe if dads learned how to be dads, we wouldn't have any gangs.
There it is.
Yeah, so back to the idea that the police this past week described gang members because they attacked a couple of instances, 4 gang members on 1 kid, a couple of different times. They compare that to a pack of animals. Your reaction to that, Robert?
I don't think that even though the offense itself was very aggressive, I don't think that we should categorize young people as animals, because they probably haven't had a chance to even learn. What they're doing, what they're learning right now, and by being out there and calling them names and stuff, the San Jose Police Department is not going to get no respect from them. It's only going to make them be on the defense when they see them.
All right. So we saw a video of the police officers on the screen. There's added enforcement, more cops this summer, 20 patrol units during the month, the rest of the month of June and July, 2 officers solely involved in gang suppression. Is that enough, or are we spinning our wheels?
I think that it's been done before. So it's been done before a couple of times, and we're still back in the same position. You know what I mean? We still, and every time it just gets worse. The homicide, the gangs, their violence. So I think we have to learn from our past. If it didn't work then, what are we doing now? You know what I mean? Why are we doing it? David probably could get better into that than I can.
Let me just real quickly before I go to David. If the mayor came to you and said, Robert, I want to put you on the payroll, how do we solve this gang problem? What's one of the first things you would do?
Promote peace. Be out there promoting peace. Nobody promotes peace. Nobody tries. We try to work programs where, even the programs that are funded, bring all your kids. You got Norteño kids, you got Sereno kids, you got Crips, you got bring them all together. And people would say, we can't bring them together, it's dangerous. They got programs out there that separate. They get money for stopping the violence, but they separate the gang members. Norteño Day, Sereno Day. You can't teach nobody unity like that. You cannot. You cannot teach people unity in no way unless you're out there promoting peace. Right. I would grab all the gang leaders that I can, and it takes time. You have to go out there and create a relationship with them, but I would gather them at one time and sit down and come to a truth.
City leaders might say, yeah, right, that's impossible. You don't feel that way. You have the palancas, if you will, the pull to do that.
Well, because I've seen it done in prison over the years. Some people thinking that can't be done in prison. I've been in prison a lot of times, and I've seen on the yards where the Mexican mafia and the Nostra Familia have said, hey, it's time. You know what I mean? And so I know that it's a reality. They don't know that because they're not there.
Right. Your take, David, on this added enforcement, that putting more cops specifically assigned to control the gang problem?
I would say it's a two-edged sword. It cuts both ways. And also it's a quick fix for a heavy problem. And like Robert said, it's been done before. And going to the two-edged sword reference, we love to see police driving around in our community. Like I said, I'm from the neighborhood. I'm from the community that's been hit hard this last couple of weeks. I heard gunshots. I heard them the past Wednesday. Like I said, we love to see the police out there. I'm raising my kids. But when you heavily suppress a community, a neighborhood, then the normal folks, the everyday folks, everyone starts looking like a suspect. There's going to be a lot of kids out there that are minding their own business, and they're going to get profiled. And that's what I'm really worried about the most, especially doing prevention work. Suppression is a big net. You're going out there, getting these gang members. I love it. Yes, get these hard gangsters off the street. But along with that, you're going to get at-risk youth. You're going to get kids that are just stringing along, and we're basically going to create gangsters of the future. Kids that would have a chance to outgrow it, maybe move on, are now going to find themselves getting gang enhancements, doing time. And, suppression heavy this summer. Well, what's going to happen next summer or in the winter when a lot of these young people are being released from juvenile hall?
You're going to get a child go on the gang database when maybe they're on the verge and you're trying to pull them back, and that pulls them in. Interesting. Moxa's web address, it's moxa.org. Log on and see, again, what kind of efforts they are undertaking to kind of bring the peace, as Robert said, to our neighborhoods. We'll be back and have one more segment with our experts when we continue. Stay with us. We're back here on Comunidad del Valle talking about gangs. And Robert, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the mayor's gang prevention task force. Is that money wasted? Could we better spend that money somewhere else?
In some areas, yes. There's some good programs out there that they put money into it. But the Mayor's Gang Prevention Task Force is basically, they're geared at preventing youth from joining gangs, at-risk youth. And they have not much to do with the gang violence now. Or the older gang members. See, that's something that we have to focus on. Is everything's geared at the youth and keeping them out of gangs. Nothing's geared at the people already in gangs, and nothing's geared at the gang members in prisons. To help them get out of gangs, or to even to help them to come out and spread what they do on the streets. There's nothing.
Because they go into prison, then they come back being trained by the prison element. Now they come back and do their thing.
There's no programs in there. Although I read yesterday on the internet, they had a program in Elk Grove, Sacramento, in the jail, that puts rival gangs members together. You are forced to live together, and work together. Wow. And it's working. It's working. It's a small jail, right, but it's still thugs in there. There's still Norteños, and that was what key for me, because it was working. But these people, the experts they have now, they'll say, don't try that, it's dangerous. Yeah. It's dangerous. I asked the other day, I asked one of the county jail members, hey, let me go in there and talk to the guys that recent indictments on the Nostra Familia and see, you can't do that. Why not? I'm willing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm willing. My goal is stop the violence, and hey, I've been through the indictments. I could help them.
Maybe that's what it takes. David, you also had a take on the money that we're spending on the gang fighting efforts.
Yeah, and over the past few weeks, I've been hearing all in the news. We need more cops. We need more cops, whether it's the SJPOA or just local council members. And to me, that's a piece of the puzzle. That's not the end-all, be-all to the situation or the issue of gangs in San Jose. You put more cops on the street, and we've seen it this weekend. They went hard, heavy suppression. We've been hearing from a lot of young people out on the streets. Everyone and their mama was getting getting pulled over this past weekend, and yet we still had that robbery. Over in the east side, we're still, there's those youngsters that ran into the house over in the south, in South San Jose. So the issue is still there. So I would say this is that instead of just thinking more cops, we do need the police present. I'm not going to deny that. But we also do need to promote a lot of these programs, like Robert was saying, promote peace. And I'll be honest, I got to say this right now. A lot of times we focus too much on gangs when that's not the issue. And talking about working with the North and South, these gang members, and that's what I believe in as well at Moxa. We work with all. We get them in the same room. It's not about North and South, especially with these young people. It's about their lives. Before they're a gang member or at-risk youth, chances are they're a hurt child. Chances are they're having issues at the home. Chances are they're looking for something that they can't find. And it's to find the human side of the issue, right? Because right when we call them gangs, we call them animals, these thugs, these violent, you know, right? That's how they're viewed. And, you know, SJPD is openly, you know, drawing a line, right? And that's where the issue is. Now, I'm not here to promote, you know, what these youngsters are all innocent or anything like that. But a lot of these are just young people trying to find their way. I would even say a lot of the heavy gang members coming out of prison, you know, we got the realignment process here in Santa Clara County. Are the folks that are being released, are they really being helped? Are they really receiving all the services that our county says that they're giving them?
True.
Are they really being helped?
So now we're dealing with that.
That's the issue there too.
Before we go, Robert, your advice to the mayor of San Jose and the police chief of San Jose.
My advice is to create a program, something for outreach to end the violence. Now what you have in place, I would if it was me, I would dismantle the whole task force and just raise up, because it's a good program. Or it's a good organization. It's a good thing to have, but I think that what they don't do is they leave out the older gang members, the ones that are creating everything.
The ones that are calling the shots, maybe.
They have nothing for it. And then if you talk to somebody in the task force and say, hey, what about the gang member? Because I used to go there. What about these guys coming to prison? What about them? You know what I mean? They have nothing.
Very interesting. Well, it's I don't know if there'll ever be a solution, but at least they're trying. Log on to the MAXA website. There it is on your screen. Thank you guys so much for the work that you're doing, and we hope that things turn around and improve on the streets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. And